This image says it all. Yes, indeed. You can see the riots going on right now in California has forced Donald Trump to call on the National Guard. We're getting reports it's quieted things down, at least for the night. We'll see what happens today. But the past few days, there's been major ICE raids within LA County and the surrounding area, in Mexican areas within California. And there have been major altercations with acts of really terrorism, is what they're calling it. You've got protesters throwing rocks at the windshield of these ICE SUVs. It's really just terrible, terrible things. And Trump says, well, we're not going to deal with this at all. If you look at what Trump has said, now they're saying if you include the self-deportations, they've gotten around 700K out of the country. But when you're just talking about the actual physical deportations, the numbers have been lagging a little bit. With this new bill, they're getting more funding into the deportation efforts, but they're really going in now and they're done with it. They're going into all these illegal areas and they're starting to really hammer these people. And so everyone always says it. I saw this, like, it happened like about 2 months ago when they did another raid. I forgot where the location was, but they'll have these Mexican flags and it just makes no sense. You're waving a Mexican flag. You're saying Mexico's better than the United States. You're committing crimes on behalf of being pro-Mexican, this nationalist view. And the reason you're doing all of that is in protest of going back to Mexico. You hate the United States. You're out protesting the United States. But the reason you're protesting is because you want to stay in the United States. That's what it is. And so that's why it just makes absolutely no sense. And then Newsom gets irate because Trump just usurped Newsom and said, we're done with this. We're not going to be dealing with these ICE agents getting potentially killed. We're going to make sure everything is safe. We're going to bring an authority with the National Guard. And Newsom cries like a little child because Trump wants to bring law and order. And this is what Trump was elected to do, deport illegal immigrants. He's doing just that. And they're not happy about it. But this is a scene. This is a pretty typical scene you'll get from these liberal, they call them protesters. It's really a riot, and they commit some serious crimes. I mean, there's videos of them chucking rocks, throwing things at the ICE agents as their vehicles are moving, trying to break open the window. I mean, that's extremely dangerous, but it's pretty typical when it comes to it. And you're not going to see this on the mainstream media. They'll do 100 stories, check that, 1,000 stories about something like January 6th, but when it comes to BLM, which categorically was worse under every metric when you look at the total damage and the total deaths, but they won't talk about BLM, they won't talk about something like this. So it's just interesting. You've also got this Hegseth coming out talking about a violent mob assaulting ICE and federal enforcement designed to prevent the removal of criminal illegal aliens from our soil. And we knew we were going to deal with this. I think Trump was ready. Trump wanted to show a sign of strength and a sign of force. This is happening, whether these protesters like it or not. Now Trump says you're not allowed to wear masks. You wear a mask, you're going to get arrested at one of these protests. You're not wearing masks. We're not going to be able to identify you. And what Trump really needs to come out and say is he needs to say, listen, for every protester we arrest, we're committing another $10 million to getting illegal immigrants out of this country. Trump really needs to start doing things. You got to start playing hardball with these people because we're not dealing with it. We're just not, you want to protest, you want to disrupt our removal of illegal immigrants from the United States where we're doing it lawfully and say that's why they try and see how everyone knows that most people want this. So what they try and do is they try and muddle it and say, well, they're removing them, but it's not due process. And that was the whole thing with Garcia, who's got like the gang tattoos all over him. And now apparently he's coming back to the United States to go to jail and then be redeported. That's really what I thought was going to happen with him. But when it comes to this, is just Trump is saying we're going to show a sign of strength. With Newsom, he's like, we've got it under control, as the protesters are hurling rocks and projectiles at the windshield of ICE SUVs. We've got it under control. It's all under control. Well, you know what? Trump's going to make sure it's under control. And then Newsom, of course, cries like a little child when Trump actually says something about it. Let's see what this is. This is a video. You've got all the Mexican flags. It's like a palace. Yeah, there's a Mexican flag right there. This is what they do. They set cars on fire. This is pretty typical with the Tesla protests. And seems like an act of war. Well, I mean, obviously they're not trying to take over the United States or anything. But it is symbolic to see all of these individuals in front of a burning car with Mexican flags. And we know the logic, the lack of logic. Why are you at this protest? Well, because they're removing illegal immigrants from the United States. So you're at the protest, you're waving the Mexico flag. You don't like the United States, but you're protesting them leaving the United States. Isn't that good? You don't like the United States, so aren't you happy they're leaving the United States? There's just such a lack of logic when it comes to it. You've got these numbers, immigrant. This is the immigrant population falling, really over 750,000. So three-fourths of a million people have been deported. Well, not deported. They've left. It's self-deportations along with the deportations within the first 4 months. That is a historic number. They said they wanted to do 1 million per year, maybe 1.2. Well, think about that. I mean, yeah, they're including self-deportations, but the administration came out the first few days, January 21st, January 22nd. They were extremely hard. They started deporting a lot of people. That's going to raise the self-deportation numbers. You also have the incentive to self-deport to where they give you $1,000 because they're just trying to get as many people out of the country as possible. We don't have an actual head count on the amount of illegals in the country at this point. You could say 15, 20 million at least. Under Biden, they said, well, the number's 10 million is how many they let in. Nobody really knows. It's like 15 to 30 million is how many illegals, and that's probably lowballing it. And so it's like, well, you'd love to see Trump at least get 1.5 out per year. It seems unrealistic based on the resources we currently have. So you can also try and help with the self-deportation. And I knew the administration was going to, they're probably going to use numbers like this in terms of the self-deportation because the deportation numbers have been pretty low. They're going to say, well, with the self-deports, which is also something to where the administration gets credit for that, because if you go out and you do these raids, people are going to be very scared. It's going to cause them to self-deport, which is what we saw originally when Trump first came in. Now they stopped doing them. Now they started again, and that's why you're seeing all of this with the National Guard. Trump is calling up National Guard troops under a rarely used law. So see how they're trying to format it like, oh, this is Trump being a dictator. It's terrible. Well, no, he's trying to restore the order, and it's really more a show of strength when it comes to all of these protesters. What are you protesting? You're protesting the removal of illegals. We've got 60% of Americans that want all illegals out of this country. This is what democracy looks like. You know, that's what they chant. They chant, this is what democracy looks like. These ICE agents going in and getting these illegal immigrants and throwing them out of the country, that's what democracy looks like. That's what people voted for. Trump said he was going to do this. He's starting to do it. This is the democracy. You don't get to go and protest something that Trump was elected. He won every swing state. He won a huge mandate. He won the popular vote. You remember they said, imagine he loses the popular vote. They would have said that. They can't say anything now. This is what democracy looks like. Yep, we voted for it. And so Trump says, we're just not dealing with it. We're done. We're done with this. I'm done with this little spat with Newsom to where he tries to act like this big bully because he talks about how California's economy is. So we're not doing this. We know we're not doing this. So we're the federal government. We're sending the National Guard. We're going to squish him like a bug. And he's going to understand who has the actual authority. It's the executive branch. It's Trump. And that's what Trump is really doing here. And now Trump's going to say, you know what? Every protester we have to arrest, it's another 20 million to the immigration budget. We're just sick of it. We're sick of dealing it with these people. They say, oh, it's protests. They're out there burning cars. They're throwing things at ICE. They're putting these federal agents' lives in danger. They're trying to do their job. They're trying to deport illegals, which Trump was democratically elected to do. And so they have to do these raids in these liberal states and these counties that harbor a bunch of Mexican illegal immigrants, and then they wave the Mexican flag and say, oh, this is terrible. Well, why is it terrible? If you hate the United States and you love Mexico, we're sending you from the United States to Mexico. We're liberating you. So I don't understand. So it's like you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. If anything, if they want to be patriotic about it, and they should have American flags and say, we're sorry, we love the United States. That's why we don't want to be deported from the United States. But if you want to be really nationalist with these Mexican flags, we're just going to deport everyone. And so that's what Trump is really saying. And that's why a lot of these people, I mean, it's just, there's not going to be, you cannot be weak about this when it comes to, we're finally starting to ramp it up. It is the summer. There's going to be a lot of protests. And so we want to show a show of strength. And Trump sees what's happening. He sees all the videos. And of course, they call them protests. It's really these riots, and they set a bunch of stuff on fire. It's just like the Tesla stuff. Remember the Tesla stuff? They firebomb all the Tesla dealerships, and then they don't really cover it at all. Imagine if Republicans did that, they would call that domestic terrorism for sure. But when the left does it, it's, I guess, perfectly fine, and it's just, and it's allowed because, oh, Elon Musk donated to somebody that I don't like politically, so I get to firebomb his dealership. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. Marxist left-wing violence. That's amazing. So Trump calls in the National Guard. Los Angeles was quiet on Sunday morning as the first members of the National Guard arrived after President Trump took the extraordinary, oh, it's extraordinary, really? You know, when ICE agents are being attacked for just trying to deport people, which Trump was democratically elected to do, that's extraordinary. And they've got the Mexican flags. But see how they try and say, see, they always try and swing this. When Trump uses executive authority, it's always, he's a dictator. That's always it. When he uses the power that he has been given, elected democratically, with the win of the popular vote, then it's always the dictatorship. When he uses executive power, it's this crying about, oh, he's got too much power now, he shouldn't be able to do this. But see, the thing is with Newsom, we're not going to do this thing where we go back and forth. No. Trump is like, I'm more powerful than you. We're done with it. I'm sending in the National Guard. I'm just sick of hearing about you. And then Newsom cries like a whiny baby. Oh, we had it under control. ICE agents were being assaulted all the past 2 days. It was totally under control. There's mobs burning cars from block to block. And then one of the ICE agents, there's a video of an aerial shot from a helicopter. You've got this protester trying to stop one of the ICE SUVs, and they're like, oh, he got ran over. No, he didn't. He got pushed back. The car pushed him back, and he fell. And it's like he's trying to run in front, running backwards in front, gripping his hands on the grill of this SUV, trying to hold it back. It's just like these people are so delusional. And Trump's like, you're not to wear masks now. You're not going to wear masks. Let's see if we can get the area in which Newsom criticizes Hegseth, saying that Marines could be mobilized. Newsom sharply criticized Pete Hegseth, talking about Marines. I don't know if that's going to happen. The side of the protest has a large Latino community. Well, listen, this is what Trump was elected to do, and we knew there were going to be issues with this, but it's good it's happening now and not a year from now, because the midterms are then. So you do a lot of this stuff now, but the problem is there's so many illegals in this country. We just can't, we just really, it's like it has to continue to happen every single day. Now, if they've actually gotten around 770K out, a lot of it would be through self-deportation. If that's true, then that's very, very good. Because that's in 4 months. They say like 1 to 1.2 per year. Their numbers have been lower. Now they're trying to deport. And so this is the type of stuff that happens. These people get very angry. The media enables them to do things like this because it's saying, well, Trump's racist. He's big, bad, and evil. Trump is trying to deport people that are not here legally. And so they'll do whatever it takes when it comes to, they're talking about due process. Where is the due process for the people that allowed 10 million people into this country over 4 years? It's like, it doesn't really fit in terms of, so you can let 10 million people into the country over 4 years, but when you try and remove them, which if you want to do it in the most peaceful, imaginable way possible, it's impossible to remove that many people in 4 years, let alone probably you couldn't even do it in 6 or 7 years. But it's like, so how are we supposed to do this? It's already rigged against us. You can allow all these people to come in. Nothing happens to the Biden administration. None of them go to prison for it. It's perfectly fine. But when Trump tries to get them out, now it's all this due process issues. It's all these problems with that. And because they know it'll slow down the deportations. If they're trying to make a big stink about it. So we'll see what happens, but you've got Trump ordering at least 2,000 National Guard members to Los Angeles County on Saturday, protesting against immigration raids in the area that were taking place near a Home Depot. So that's like a raid to get like 30 illegals, and this is like, National Guard arrives in 24 hours. And so we'll see what happens with this. But of course, they're gonna swing this as Trump's a dictator. He's overreaching. And it's just, I mean, there has to be a show of strength when it comes to this, because this is what happens. That you go into these communities, and there's a lot of illegals. They're harboring a lot of illegals, and so they need to be deported. That's all we can really say, and they're going to be. And if you've got these protesters doing things like assaulting ICE and throwing things at their vehicles, and Trump's going to show a sign of strength. So that's basically what's been going on, and we'll see how this evolves. We'll see how many people they actually get from this raid. I mean, because who really even knows how many they're going to be able to nab? But it doesn't really surprise me. Either way, guys, like the video down below. Also follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.